Hello and welcome to the 25th episode of the podcast for the
Oh,
recently deceased. I am Nate Roberts.
I am Rodney Godek. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. As I previously mentioned, super tired, but I'm glad to be back. Got to apologize to everyone for missing last week. When duty calls, sometimes you just gotta take care of that duty.
Uh-huh. That's sounds cool.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, it happens. So, I mean, it's weird when things like this happen. I mean, it's only been a couple times
Yeah.
for us, but I mean, our format is difficult in that we try to pack a lot of breakdown into and two films and a one session, and so it gets heavy in general and difficult to get through all the things that we want to get through with each movie or film. And so these two, I didn't take time to rewatch them before this week. And so they're like 2 weeks old almost in memory. And so this is going to be a little bit hindered by that. But I'm not concerned because I definitely enjoyed both of these movies and am excited to talk about them. So I'm okay with it.
Okay. So before we get started, there are spoilers. We did change our format up from like telling you everything that happens to just not filtering ourselves. But if you don't like spoilers, watch the movies and come back.
Sounds good.
Right?
So let's start with yeah, let's start with start talking about You Are Not My
We
Mother.
got real high energy today,
I
obviously.
mean, I can bring it up for
All
sure.
right,
And I will.
let's
So
bring it
You
up.
Are Not My
Okay.
Mother.
Yeah.
And well, I let me read this one then. We'll
Okay.
start it off. In a North Dublin housing estate, Char's mother goes missing. When she returns, Char is determined to uncover the truth of her disappearance and unearth the dark secrets of her family. This is written and directed by Kate Dolan, starring Hazel Dupe, Carolyn Bracken, and Paul Reed. This obviously is Irish, an Irish horror tale. Maybe with a bit heavy drama element is another tag that they have on the IMDb page, at least. It sits at a 5.8 on IMDb, and in Rotten Tomatoes, I want to say it has, yeah, it's certified fresh with an 89% by critic reviews and a 47% audience score. It is not fresh as
Ooh.
far as uh, fewer than 50 ratings for an audience score. So,
Okay.
but I can see, to me, both IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, I understand, and that scans with what I watched.
Sure. Yeah, I think all the numbers are probably pretty accurate across the board.
Sure. I mean, for me, this felt like a very. I wish that I would have seen this in the fall. It being set in Halloween or during Halloween, the month of October,
Right, right,
which I don't know how much they actually celebrate that in Ireland,
right. Well,
but
they
also
were
I'm interested
they were
in that.
definitely celebrating Samhain,
Right.
right? Um,
But though
they,
you could see some decorations, and it wasn't overtly crazy decorations, but there was Happy Halloween type things on at least one of the backdrops. So the
right.
mood, the atmosphere of this whole film, I feel like it would have been heightened had I watched it during the fall. To me, I think I might rewatch this in the fall because it's a new story, sort of in the Halloween mythos. It tells a very English, Irish, British Isles tale, and it made me think of a book that I had read not long ago, which I guess we're just going to get into it, called Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. And this book is about fairies and how fairies abscond with people's souls or bodies and things like that and do, dastardly deeds in fairyland.
Yeah, I would call this folk horror definitely. I'd
Yeah,
put
yeah.
it in the realm of like Hatching and um
We've watched a
uh
ton of that lately.
yeah, Hellbender, you know, a bunch, yeah, a bunch of stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean,
And
you are not alone.
yep, yeah, oh yeah. Oh, I loved You Are Not Alone. Yeah, and they've all been good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, slow but good. Um, this one actually gives you a lot more meat, I think. There's a lot of not even like exposition, but like a lot of information you're getting about all the characters, and not in a not in a direct way, in a more subtle way. Um,
Yeah, they're not going to hold your hand as much. It kind of is doing it's a more mature filmmaking
yeah,
approach.
yes,
It's
it doesn't zoom in on the thing you're supposed to see with a creepy music, like some like creepy music,
yeah.
which is great. Thank you, Kate Dolan, for that, for letting me use my brain.
I still I still take umbrage with you being annoyed with Fresh because of that.
uh,
So
you know,
spoiler alert in Fresh, when Noah is scanning I think it's Steve's house at the end to try to plan her escape, you like were annoyed by that a little
Yeah,
bit.
the zoom in on the cell phones, man. Like we know the cell phones are there. We knew they were there from the beginning. When he put the cell phones there, I said to myself, "Oh, she's gonna have to get those cell phones later." I
Yeah, but I think it
already
was
knew.
more so,
Oh,
but they needed to zoom, at least with that, they
yeah.
needed to zoom in so that she could understand her friend is here, and it gave her a reason to go find her friend.
All right, I'll
But
give you
either
the
way.
showing the friend cell phone.
Yeah, but
Um,
your point with whenever she's looking for the knife or the door or the escape, like I felt that her scanning it made logical sense with the plot and it didn't
right.
bother me.
Well, here
But we have seen it in a few other films where
it just happened to me in Stranger Things, and here you go. Spoilers, Stranger
oh,
Things.
well, okay, let's not use Stranger Things as like the standard of if Stranger Things did it, then really they've jumped the shark type. I don't know.
Stranger Things season 4, final episode 7. The antagonist is turning into the villain in a scene that's a flashback, and
Mhm.
after he does turn into the villain, it zooms in on his
Oh,
wrist
right,
to
yeah, yeah.
show the
The
tattoo.
stupidest
And
fucking thing I know.
you're like,
Dude,
we get it, we got
yeah.
it.
It's like
Like,
I kind of had a feeling a while ago, and now,
yeah,
yes, it's very,
yeah.
very
Oh,
clear.
thank you.
And
Thank.
as soon as it started to like, it's like the camera was here, and you could see it starting to turn. To, I was like, "You're not going to show
You're
his
not
fucking
gonna show us the
tattoo.
tattoo,
You
are
don't need
you?
to do that. You're not really going to do that. There's something. He's holding something. Please tell me he's holding something that you want me to see. No,
Yeah.
it's the
It's
tattoo.
the tat.
You fucking morons.
Just in case this flying into the upside down, lightning striking transformation into the villain was not enough for you, here's the tattoo, so you're 100% sure that he's the bad guy.
Yeah,
What
like
the
the
fuck?
so the way I interpret that obviously is that the general public are fucking morons and they have
Or
to
everyone in
speak.
Hollywood thinks that the general public is a fucking moron.
But I think it's fair to say that they probably are. You know, the uproar there's uproar with the new Pixar Buzz Lightyear because I believe there's the same sex type thing and people are annoyed or offended by that. Uh the outrage or the like Jurassic World, people seem to just not want to have fun and watch dinosaurs tear shit up. People are complaining because they kind of recreate the T-Rex Jurassic Park logo with a set piece at this new island that really has no purpose being there except to create the gag visually when you see the T-Rex pass behind it.
Right.
Why are you annoyed by that? Just let it fucking go. That's just fine.
It's a movie
Uh
about dinosaurs.
right.
Probably don't take it so seriously.
Yeah, so but people are not good at understanding cinema as a whole.
Yeah.
So, they kind of need to be force fed. And yeah, Stranger Things definitely does that.
Yeah, it
So,
definitely does. Okay, back
um, so you're
to
not my mother.
so,
So, like the synopsis says, it talks about Char's mother going missing. So this film starts with a well, in general, the feelings of this, it takes place during Halloween. I think that
Yeah,
what this film does successfully is it sets the mood, and it really is a
definitely.
bit of a slow burn, right?
Oh yeah, slow burn, very atmospheric, very it does a very good job of what you just said, setting the mood, and the mood changes often, and they are taking you along for the ride. Like I said, this has a little more meat on it than a traditional slow burn because they are telling a real story here instead of just creepy stuff, creepy stuff, creepy stuff reveal. Um,
Yeah, because
cause
there's so much, like you were saying, folklore. There's a lot of things that already exist, and so whenever they show like a small snippet of Rita, who's the grandmother in this,
right,
Char's grandmother, um, she is like doing a little thing with earthly objects,
yeah, yeah. She's always
herbs
doing. She's
and
always casting
twigs
little.
and sticks.
Yeah,
And
doing
whenever
little.
she's coming in and out of a door, you can see something hung on the back of the door. You're like, okay, all of this is for a reason, and the world that they're in is sort of this imbued with magic or a sense of the supernatural is there, and you don't know it. You just have to trust that you're going to get more information as it slowly builds.
Well, right. So what's great from my perspective is that you don't know, right?
Right.
You don't know until you know. So until you know, the grandmother could be a kook, right? She's like a crazy old lady who
Mm-hmm.
thinks she's a witch, right? Her stuff is very basic. It's very like Wiccan like. It's probably stuff
Yeah.
you've seen in real life if you know someone who claims to be a Wiccan. Um, things like that. She smudges and she makes a little ball of twigs and she tells uh, Shar that it will protect her. Um, you know, but it starts with this crazy scene where there's an empty stroller and a woman crying, and the old woman, who we find out to be Char's grandmother, has this baby. She takes out in the middle of the woods, and she lights a circle of fire around it, and then it pretty much cuts to present. So we don't get what
Yeah, you
that
see a
was.
flash of a book, you see text on a book, you see the ring drawn in it with an object in it, and you see fire. There's words, you can't make out anything, and the grandmother's like watching, kind of uh, almost unemotionally acting out this ritual, and the baby screaming and the flames going up, and you just cut to the future. And so um it I like that there was mystique there where you don't know. And then for a while, it was kind of like, you recognize the grandmother really quickly. And I was
Yeah,
like, well, so was this Shar, or was this um Ida? Is it Ida? No, Ida's from the other movie. Um,
right.
what's the name of the mother? Is it Angela? Yeah, Angela.
Angela, yeah,
I was like, was it the mother or was it Shar? And I
right.
couldn't tell, but I felt like that must be something like that related to it.
Yeah, and right away the movie is kind of steeped in mental illness, where Angela the mother is kind of a space cadet, and there's like no food in the house ever, and she's like, like out of her mind on like lithium as far as you can tell, sleeps all day, um,
So
and
what do you think is that? Do you think after all of the events transpire, how do you interpret her being that way at the start of the movie? Is it that she's lived with this fear or this presence or this potential, which obviously has happened in the past because they talk about that?
yeah,
Is it like, what is it? Is it that she knows that this is a looming thing, or she just happens to be in a funk in
yeah,
general?
yeah. Honestly, I think she's just midlife, single mom, lives with her brother and her crazy mom.
Hmm.
She probably never believed the first time, right? The time in the woods, right? She probably thought
Right.
that was her mom being crazy. And, people with crazy parents, they always worry that they're going to go crazy too. And She's just probably was really depressed, for no other reason than, being unemployed and single, and being a single parent.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, that's my guess. And then, of course, the scare of the events kind of breathed some life back into her.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I guess I kind of feel the same way. I don't know, but because of the way that they describe how she had experienced similar, her grandmother calls it like her one of her down periods,
Yeah.
where yeah, it could just be suffering from depression in general,
Yeah. She could be
and now
bipolar,
this
manic
other
depressive,
event is
something
going
like
to
that.
occur. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and they don't really talk about it, but I would imagine those that have these that are affected psychologically in this way might be victims for what we find this presence to prey upon,
Right,
right?
right, right. That might make them easier prey. Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I think that we talked about the atmosphere
Yeah.
and the way it looks. I think that the soundtrack also does that. There's a theme that kind of happens throughout the whole film that they keep reutilizing, which made me think of like all the classic horrors that have, you know, Friday the 13th has Jason's theme with the sound, and Michael Myers and Halloween has its kind of John
Sure,
Carpenter
sure.
score.
Yeah.
This, I think the score really utilized the strings and the kind of heightened tension or unease or questioning of things. You're not really sure, but like they use that a lot in the sound design. And I think it was nice. It was like emotional, but uneasy, you know?
Sure. Um, so when we get into the story, the bullies, right? Uh,
Yeah, that's the other thing. Bullying is a big element of this too.
so so I think it, seeing it in this movie made me really like critically analyze like every movie I think I've ever seen, and
Okay.
how like how like that underdog main character is somehow always, almost always bullied in the beginning. Like probably
Hmm.
every slasher ever made, probably, you know, tons of rom-coms. Like it's such a trope, and kind of an overused trope. I even kind of scoffed at it at the beginning of this movie, but I was so happy with how it turned out.
Yeah.
It like, because it definitely took a different path, and it really like, well, once again, it added to the story. Like the bully, Suzanne,
Hmm.
her mom's story kind of adds to this world, and creates this bigger picture. And
Right.
I just loved it, and I loved how the second bully, like Suzanne's number two from the beginning,
Hmm.
who kind of appears to be like way more unstable as like a human, early on, immediately
Right.
takes over the gang, and her idea of bullying someone is way off the charts crazy, um, because she's just that kind of person. And but it's congruent with how we saw her earlier when we see her again later. It's not like that bonfire scene isn't outrageous, because they've set up this girl to be like way crazier and more unstable than the head bully. She's like the number
Yeah,
two bully.
willing to
And
up the stakes in an
yeah,
absurd way to lash out and, you know, make her mark or prove herself to herself and others, her social status. And I
yeah,
think that this film does a great job of creating the community that all these characters exist in. You know, all of these events kind of, I don't know, feed into one another. You don't get much of the school environment. You just get a little bit with the teacher who's sort of also guidance
guidance
counselor.
counselor, yeah. And
Um,
oh god.
no, I was just saying like so that element is there, the bullies, the police officers that are involved with the disappearance, the mothers, and like, you know, the Suzanne's parents saying, "Stay away from that family." That's the I think O'Donnell's. I
Right.
can't remember if that was her name. Uh,
Yeah, she
it all
yeah,
builds like the richness of the town that they live in, and it just feels very lived in and real to all the
right.
characters that are in it.
Yeah, I thought that was funny how the main bully's parents warn the bully not to hang out with the girl she's bullying
Right, because they
because
just knew of the past and the
they're
weird
the
shit.
they're the weird
Right.
family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, oh, I also really enjoyed the field trip. I thought was good because that once again that was more history of Samhain. So like whoever wrote this
Right.
movie, well, Kate.
Well, and
Who,
that's also where they talk about they explain it's a bit of the exposition with the other events that are going on because I think isn't it in that little vitrine or that little video
where
piece
where
they
it
talk
goes.
about the water, right?
Yes, but that's when it also flashes back to the fire story, I believe, as well,
Mm.
right? Or oh no, that no
Uh
no she tells her about that later. That was
yeah, no, yeah, read the grandmother explains
yeah
that. But I think that's where we start to understand the actions where the mother was playing with her in the river,
in the
and you're
river.
like how
Yes,
close she came to potentially
yes,
um yeah, being taken also. So overall, it's not, we're complimenting it a lot. It has its faults. It is a bit slow. It's not earth-shattering and so over the top or interesting and engrossing that it's making you think a whole lot. It doesn't go too far, push anything. It's sort of like, comfortable, you know?
yeah, yeah. The gore wasn't gory. There's I think one
Yeah, it's not trying to do any of
fatality.
that, right.
Yeah, only
It's not
one.
at the point
Yeah.
of it.
Um, there's only one kill. I'm pretty sure. Uh, unless you count the changeling. I love that it's about changelings. I'll say that now,
Right, yeah,
because once again, we talk about the Wendigo for antlers, and anytime they do something that's not a fucking werewolf or vampire, I'm ecstatic.
sure.
Like we've got plenty of those movies, guys.
Well, yeah, I think that that's what's so great about this is that it is a unique story where changelings and fairies and all of that existing around the Halloween environment, it just helps heighten and build the setting in such a way that it's fun to play in, and it's not a story that you hear a lot. And so I
Yeah,
give that's where I think it really held my interest is that it was a unique story, unique location, an Irish horror,
yeah,
which is not overly represented in the horror genre. Like I've searched out for looked for films that come from this area, and there's a few up there that are known, but it's not something you see a lot of things produced in or around.
sure.
When you was it the one
Oh,
was the one that we just saw?
we just watched
Let
one,
the
right? Let
Wrong
the
One
wrong
In?
one in. Yeah,
Yeah, and that was garbage.
yeah,
Uh, but at any rate, so yeah, I guess in summation, it is good, but it wasn't really anything groundbreaking that's gonna stick with you forever. It's like it's a nice addition to watch when the season comes around. I think it'll be heightened then. And it's very approachable. I think it's a good entry into horror, you know?
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah, I think it's very tame. I'm sure it has an R rating, but I mean, it might as well be a PG-13 or whatever. Like, I'm sure teenagers
Oh, well, because of
are
where it was made, it
safe.
might not have a rating.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
MPAA
I don't
would
think it does.
probably have given it an R.
You
Uh,
think so?
yeah, there was some gore, and they probably say fuck a couple times. The Irish love to say, uh,
Right.
well, fucking cunt. I'm sure they say cunt in the movie a couple times. Um, Yeah, so as you're saying, very good movie, and good is the best word to describe it.
Yeah.
I think it's not great, not groundbreaking. It tells a very good story. I think that's its strength. I would also give it points for the actors. I just love not recognizing anybody, everybody giving a solid performance. All the people in the movie looking normal, average people, right? Like you don't have like your, your
It's sometimes
American.
it's concerning when you say that. Like, I get just everyday like people that you can't like. They don't look like they're a character actor or trying to play a bit role or type
Yeah,
thing. Is that what you
yeah,
mean? Like,
they just look like people. Well,
yeah,
it's nice to be taken away from the American Hollywood style of filmmaking
right.
and transported to a world where where it looks like it could be your town,
Hmm.
like walking down the street in your town. Um, and and I definitely enjoy that about a lot of foreign films actually. Just use, or actors that seem like everyday folk.
Yeah, and when you talk about the actors themselves, I think that everyone was decent. I feel like the mother, Carolyn Bracken plays Angela. I feel like there were some scenes where, I mean, like I guess the major scene in the middle of the movie when she's doing the dancing and the crawling on the floor, like that was definitely pretty intense and
Oh yeah,
pretty pretty well
she,
done.
she gave a great performance. I thought the
Hmm.
grandmother was great. Even the uncle was good, and like for what he was in it for,
Yeah.
he got to be emotional. He's taking care of his sister, who's also his niece. And he's also got to take care of his mom, and he feels like he's the man of the house. He's also the only
Hmm.
one with a job, as far as we could tell. Um, so they're this poor family living in a house off one income of the uncle, and then he gets poisoned by the changeling. So
Yeah. So, how about do you want to give a rating now, and we'll get into some of the spoilers and talk about some scenes?
yeah, sure, sure. Um, I would give this movie, You Are Not My Mother, a 6 out of 10.
I had been living with this as a 7 for a while, but as times passed, I have lowered and reconsidered, and yes, I'm resting also at a 6.
Yeah, and I think
It's
6.
it's not amazing. It's a good movie. Like I
Yeah,
said, I think I would if I watched it during Halloween month, I'm gonna enjoy it more, and I think it'd be a good introduction to the genre for someone that's not that used to it. I think
sure.
it's good because of that
Yeah, I love it.
and the
Uh,
unique story.
I also think 6 is a good rating.
Yes, it is.
It's not a 6 is not a bad movie in any way. A 6 is just a movie that you'll stream it when the mood strikes you. You're just not going to put the Blu-ray on your shelf.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to talk about it. I mean, it's such a weird time with streaming and television anyways. Not everyone has cable, and so you're not going to like catch this on a rerun on anything.
Right.
If it's added to something, you might watch it, but um it's hard to say. So uh all right, so let's get through some of the spoilers and talk about some of the cool stuff. So we talked about the beginning of the movie, the events that
Yep.
happened with the fire and the
Okay.
ritual.
All right.
Go ahead.
But we didn't talk about what happens pretty much next, which
Right.
is okay. So you get the girl, Shar, and she's like getting ready for school, and as far as you can tell, I think the viewer is supposed to think that she has more of her shit together than her entire family, and could go on to bigger and better things. But she's getting a ride to school from her mother, who is sleeps all day as far as we know.
Yeah, she had to wake her up to get the ride to school, and
Yeah,
she wanted to ask her grandmother. Her grandmother is sort of an invalid in a lot of ways. She's got her foot acting up or some other shit.
yeah,
And so she's like, "You're gonna have to ask your mother," and she like had to drag her out of bed to do it. So she's like, "Yeah, I'll wait in the car." And the whole ride is uncomfortable. Her mother's just like staring off into space as they're driving to school.
yeah. She looks at her and says, "I can't do this anymore."
Yeah.
And the next time we see her, she gets home. There's Angela's not there. The mother Angela's not there. They start looking for her, and then they find the car in a field with the door open, abandoned.
Hmm.
24 hours later, she returns to the house
That
as
night she
oh,
returns.
was it that night? And
Yeah.
she's a completely different person.
Right.
She's happy. She's wearing a full outfit of clothes instead of just like something you would
Yeah,
sleep
she's wearing
in.
a dress, and the
Yep.
daughter notices, like, what are you wearing? And she's cooking.
She's cooking, um, which the grandmother is suspicious right away, Rita, and she kind of,
Oh yeah, the grandmother knows what the fuck is going on, and
yeah,
she's not having any of this shit. You
yeah,
think she's just being crazy old lady, and there's no reason to believe, but you kind of are suspicious about the mother too to be so 180 with her emotions. It
right.
could be the fact that she's on drugs now because obviously she disappeared. They talked about her depression in the past, and so she is on now lithium and other meds to keep her in check, which is what a doctor would do if she seemingly ran away.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, you kind of aren't sure what to think about her, but you have your guard up. But the mother, the grandmother, is very quickly not having it, and so she's cooking a meal for everyone, and everyone's complimenting, "Oh, it smells so good, smells so good." And the grandmother comes in, and she's just like, "Whoops!" and spills the food that she's prepared all over the floor. I loved this aspect of it because, like, it looked like she was making some kind of a fucking gruel type soup.
Yeah,
I feel like I wonder what this was. Like, was this like poison? They're all gonna die, or is
yeah.
this gonna like put them under a spell? Because
The
like
o-
as we get to the events at the end, who knows what this was?
yeah, and the consistency and color, the only thing I could think was some sort of split pea, right? Like
Right.
it could have only been split pea soup, which
Which didn't make sense because she was using a pumpkin in
yeah,
it.
there
So
was
it's
all
like,
sorts of stuff going on, and you don't walk into the room with split pea soup and go, that smells good.
right, yeah, no, because it's kind of like, ugh.
Uh,
Is this a side? I hope this isn't the main course, right? I'm gonna eating like ham, and I can
right.
maybe have a little bit of this.
And then we get a little bit
I would
more.
hope.
We get a little bit more from the.
It is Irish though, so I
That's
mean,
true.
at
That's
least it
true.
wasn't fucking haggis.
Yeah. Well, we get a little bit more from the brother here, where he comes home with enough what they call chips, but it's French fries. Uh,
Oh, fuck yeah.
but he comes home with enough for everybody, and so that's their dinner. And he didn't know the his sister was cooking, so obviously he already planned on this being their dinner. So this is how they live. Like that one income is it, and he does take care of them. He feeds them. Like
Right.
um, so, just like adding to the the meat. Like there is a lot to chew in this movie.
Different things that are going on, right. Um, in the way that so the one thing where it also kind of clues you in that something weird is going on is the way that the mother does actually return that first night before the meds the next day that of the scene that we're talking about is Shar kind of wakes up or is have at the bedside she wakes up and she's sort of having this like dream where she sees a figure in her mother's bed with a like a cloth or a sheet draped over it. And she gets closer and it's kind of tinged in red light. She gets closer and closer, and then she takes it off, and she sees like this visage of her mother with her eyes and mouth sewn shut.
Oh
And then
yeah,
she wakes up the next morning, and that's when she sees, or that night, and then she finds her mother downstairs, uh, at the table just eating ravenously. The door is open because that's the other thing that happens as well in this movie with the sound. The old house is creaky, and so
yeah.
whenever there's a night scene where she's walking around, it's very uneasy because of that. And they do a good job of heightening that mood with the way that they shoot this. It's very close and small
Oh yeah,
in a lot of the scenes.
yeah. They do a lot of that low budget close up camera work.
Hmm.
Yeah, especially when they're like moving through the house and things like that.
Yeah. So at this dinner the next night, when you mentioned the fish and chips, like all I could think about is the scene where Angela, the mother, is just she's staring daggers at her mother, at the grandmother, because
Yeah,
she knows, like, bitch, like you're fucking onto me, but I'm fucking. I can't believe you did that shit, and she's just like eating them so forcefully because she's told to eat, and so she's eating them just like staring straight at her.
yeah,
It's fucking hilarious, like intense. But she snaps out of it, and she's like, "Oh, we should go on a trip. Let's get out of here." She's talking to Shar,
right, right. Just you and me.
and
Let's go.
And her brother is like, "What the fuck are you talking about? You're not going anywhere."
We're
No.
taking her. Yeah.
She keeps fantasizing. He's like, "No, you're not fucking leaving." And he gives even he the next morning he gives Shar her credit card, her debit card. Like, don't let your mom fucking do anything. Like, you're the
Right.
adult right now. You got to take care
Yeah.
of her. And
Yeah.
so obviously Char's got to shoulder this responsibility, and it's a weird thing.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what to do, how to interact with her.
So this will be where two things start to happen. The one is that Angela is going to poison uh, the brother with lithium,
Yeah,
and I believe Susan is going to start to, apologize to Shar, and they're going to start a friendship.
yeah, they
But it,
start
it
a friendship.
but it also doesn't just happen like it would in some other films. Like, oh my God, the bully's being nice to me. Shar rejects it at first
Hmm.
because she's like, "Fuck you! You've been my bully for as long as this movie's been on. I d- I'm not just gonna trust you because you say sorry." Um, so we get some of that, and then we also get the other bullies questioning Suzanne's newfound affection or affinity um, for Shar.
Right. Yeah. So she's dealing with that. Um, and
What's his
she's
name? The,
still
the the uncle goes into a coma from the lithium
right.
poisoning.
Yeah, so yeah, Char's mother poisons him, and yeah, he's now OD'd on lithium, and he barely made it through, and he's incapacitated. I think for the rest of the movie. Um, and at one point, it could be before this or not, but like there's a scene that makes more sense later at the art museum that you're talking about, where the mother takes Shar out for a walk or something, and they're just kind of living life. And she takes her to the river's edge in town, and she starts to like kind of take off her jacket. And it's like it's Halloween. It's cold. It's fucking
Yeah,
October in Ireland. I'm pretty sure they're even further north than we are, technically, aren't they?
yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm sure they are.
So, I mean, it's cool as shit. And she goes in the water and just like kind of maniacally. And Char's very concerned. She follows her in. And I think Char has like a flash or a vision of some other shit while she is like going out into the water to save her mother because she's concerned. She doesn't pop back up out of the water. But like her mother's playful about it. And it freaks her out, and she runs back on the bank, and the mother's kind of upset, like, "No, you just come on. It's fun. We're having fun. Just come on out." It's not until later where you get more exposition at that gallery that that's one of the things that fairies do. Like they live near water, bodies of water, these spirits. That's where they can abscond with you with a human form to like take and have a changeling then come back in their body or to take over their body for in that way.
Yeah,
And so I love that aspect of it. The fact that they explained why she was acting that way, because you didn't really understand it at first. It didn't make sense. And it's not until later that it starts to clue you in. It could just be disturbing behavior. Like she is kind of crazy or mental. The pills aren't doing what they're supposed to do. It's still a mental illness thing. It's not supernatural necessarily,
yeah,
regardless of how the mother is acting. I love that they keep playing both sides for a while through the film. And that scene was just really neat that
yeah.
they called it back to explain it.
I also like how long they waited to reveal and how well they kept it hidden. Um, they didn't like show you Angela doing things that humans can't do.
Right.
And then try to have you question the mental illness in the next scene.
Hmm.
They didn't reveal until the last minute, and when they reveal, that's when they're, oh, okay, this is the path, um, which I think is coming up here.
I think the only other event that happens that's between the mother and Char that's really crazy, that was a really cool scene, was the dancing scene with the music playing real loud, because
Yeah, and yeah,
the brother's gone now, and
right,
so, and I think the mother is even upstairs, or maybe she was at the hospital still
right.
taking care of the brother, putting the little sage bombs underneath his bed,
Underneath,
right?
yep, yep. Yeah, she
Smoking.
definitely was at the hospital.
So yeah, so the mother starts playing music and she's dancing, and she gets down on all fours and is, like, beating the beat with her fists on the floor and
Yeah,
really getting into the fucking song, right?
yeah,
Um, and is
and
freaking out Shar, and, like, Shar ends up running away because the mother is kinda coming after her,
yeah,
and this was fucking, like, kinda scary where the mother's like, she might even be trying to attack her, I can't recall, but she, like, it's a chase, like, the mother
yeah,
starts chasing her around the fucking house, and it's super tense because it's like she's crawling away and the mother's, like, scrambling, and she's scrambling fast, and it's fucking freaky the way that
yeah,
she's moving.
yeah. And then when Sharf does get away, she just starts pounding the floor again, like double fisted with the beat of the music.
Yeah.
And does she? I think she screams. This is
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
big
yeah.
scream too. Yeah, and yes,
It's just
the
super creepy,
yeah,
unnerving, doesn't really make sense. The mental illness thing still seems like that's plausible type stuff, but there's so much supernatural things, you don't know what to think.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
and for the girl, you're just like, "What the fuck?"
yeah. I mean, you kind of almost want to believe that the grandma's crazy and that it's probably mental illness.
Right, yeah,
Um,
like, let me have some grounding in reality just to make this seem like a something that's manageable.
yeah,
But
but
so it's shortly thereafter that, I think Char's coming back maybe from that field trip where the grandmother now pulls her aside and explains
it tells
everything.
her, yeah, it tells her the story, tells her that that she was a changeling, had to burn it away. Tells her that,
The beginning of the movie was her,
yeah, yeah,
and yeah, she was a changeling, her body was stolen, and the only way to chase off the spirit to bring her body back was to do this ring of fire
yeah.
and say the words and all that.
So then she tells her that Angela is a changeling, and we have to come up with this plan
We gotta do
to,
the same thing, right.
yeah, and you're gonna have to trust me, and it's gonna be uncomfortable, and you're gonna hate it, but you're gonna have to do everything I say when I say it, and yeah, so they do it, or they try to do it.
Well, yeah, she's chained, she's locked up on the bed
Yep.
upstairs, and they open the door, and Shar is really uncomfortable with it because she
Yeah,
looks like she had that bad dream. It's like what she looks like there, and she's freaking out, and obviously
yeah,
the changeling mother is trying to be like, "What are you doing to me? This is not right." Like,
yeah,
she's playing it up.
yeah. She can't handle her mom being restrained like that, so she kind of pushes the grandmother out of the room and
Right.
unlocks Angela, who then I
Very quickly turns on her.
turns on her, and then she's like, "Oh my God, I was wrong," and
But it's too late.
but it's too late. She does get away, but
The daughter does, yeah, but yeah,
Rita
the
doesn't get
mother's
away. Yeah, so
no.
this is the body count. It's Angela does kill Rita,
Mhm.
um, and she's running to Suzanne, who's the only person she knows that can help her, with the uncle being in a coma, and she gets picked up by the other bullies.
Right, they find, I think, I can't remember if they had planned on using because during the whole movie is like there's gonna be a Halloween bonfire, and so you see scenes of the kids gathering all the pallet wood to make this bonfire for Halloween
Right.
night, and so now this is where the culmination of the movie is gonna occur, the climax, and I wanna say that they knew the bonfire was there and they planned on running to it, right? They plan
Yeah.
on
Yep.
right, oh, because they make a plan to come back and have trapped the mother in this bonfire. So they make that plan. They go get the mother and bait her with Shar,
Right.
because like the mother at this point is now walking the streets during Halloween night. And yeah, there is like a Halloween trick or treating scene here where she's like just acting like a psycho, walking down the street, and she's like, ah!
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
kids like, oh my god,
Yeah.
like. Like it's a grown ass woman
Right.
looking normal as hell, but just
And
like screaming at children.
right, Halloween, so no one's gonna question it. It makes
Yeah, it's fucked
sense.
up. I think she's got blood on her though from killing her mother,
Right,
right?
right. So she
So it's
so
it's crazy.
right, so Char's there and she's waiting to lure the mother in, and um
She
Suzanne
runs back to the
is
bonfire, and that's where Suzanne's gone,
Suzanne's gone,
uh,
and the
and the bullies show up.
right, the bullies are there, and they push her into the bonfire, into the middle of it,
Uh,
and the one bully's like, "What are you
excuse me.
What are you doing? This is not right. This isn't cool." And the other two bullies are throwing gas all over everything,
Yeah,
and the one bully's like, "You're not really gonna do this, are you?" And she just lights it. Or
it's
does no,
fucking
she
great.
doesn't light it. Does she light it? I don't think she lights it.
No, 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 no,
No,
no,
no,
she
no.
doesn't.
Angela shows
Because
up
they
and they run off.
right. They look back and they're like, "What the fuck is that?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And this is where we start to see the creature changeling coming out.
Yeah. So, yeah, the changeling gets in there because Char's in there, and we learn from Rita that the changeling is after Char because it lost Char when she was a baby, and these spirits are vengeful. So they're
Mhm.
coming back for round two. And Char just lights it from within while they're both in there.
Yeah, I think Suzanne might show up and throws her like the lighter and
Yeah.
the spray paint or something like that,
Oh, yeah,
to
the
ignite
spray.
everything
Yeah.
that's been to everything
Yeah.
that's been because which is kind of a nice thing to see again because that was I mean a lot of 80s movies utilized technology that you could see yourself doing so a little lighter with spray paint. Like
Yeah.
I just rewatched Arachnophobia with the
Oh,
kid with the boys over the weekend
yeah.
because I don't know if you've heard, but they're going to be remaking that, I believe.
Really?
Yeah,
With Alec
which
Baldwin?
uh, he wasn't in Arachnophobia.
Oh, no, no, no. Wait.
Well, John Goodman. Oh,
Was it
Jeff Daniels
Jeff
was the
Daniels? Jeff
right, right,
Daniels,
right.
that's who it was.
Yeah, but I think you were thinking Alec Baldwin because Beetlejuice and like the
Yeah.
whole house is very much like Beetlejuice's
Yeah, probably. And I
like
think it came
there.
out around the same time, probably, too.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Anyways, so we rewatched that. And so in that film, they also have the spray paint with the lighter. And it's like, I think Gremlins might have done something similar even.
Yeah.
You used to see it all the time in the 80s. And so it's kind of cool and fun to like see that utilized again in a newer movie.
Yeah, it definitely
I was into
happens.
it. Yeah. So it gets lit up and
Suzanne pulls Char to safety.
right. And then the mother comes back the next day, right? Or that night, somewhere
Oh,
right
that
there.
night.
The
Yeah.
mother emerges or the mother return. No, she comes through the front door. I'm pretty sure I remember
Yeah.
that as being the embrace. Char is at home and the mother just comes to the door and now they've embraced and they're gonna try to live a normal life together with the brother dead, the mother dead. So not a very hopeful ending for
Yeah.
our lead characters here, especially because I mean, aside from Shar, who had some agency and purpose and drive, the mother obviously aimless, and so I would imagine this has will have changed that, hopefully, but still not a good situation.
Right. Right. Yeah. But, a really good story and a really good ending. I definitely think it ramps up so well. And it doesn't fall flat at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a little bit of time, and I can see people, certain viewers that aren't keyed into experiencing something like that will be disengaged somewhat because of that
Hmm.
pacing. We're smart enough to know how to just like to to take that in, and I
Or
could see that as
you
being a
know,
drawback for others. You
yeah,
know, so the audience score. Whenever we talk about the audience score making sense on Rotten Tomatoes being less than half, that makes sense because that's just going to happen. People
We've-
aren't as patient
yeah,
to an
they're exactly that, impatient, and they're watching a movie to be entertained, not necessarily for the art,
Mhm.
and that's fine if that's what you use movies for.
Yeah.
That's not why they're made, but I mean, some of them, I guess.
Okay, so I haven't looked at the director's um, IMDb to see if they're going to be doing anything else or what else might be on the radar. No, it's pretty new. Directed a movie called Cat Calls and now doing this. and we'll have to see where things lead. This is yeah, because this is still relatively recent. I feel like this is worthy of giving Kate Dolan another go at making another piece of work. Because yeah, the storytelling in it was great. It was shot well, executed well.
Loved it.
There's no big complaints. Very
Oh yeah,
good.
very good.
Cool.
All
So to
right.
recap, we both gave You Are Not My Mother, written directed by Kate Dolan, a 6 out of 10.
All right. And moving on to The Innocents, written and directed by Eskil Vogt, starring Raquel, Alva, and Sam.
There you go. Yeah. So
uh,
this is a Norwegian film.
yes.
Uh
During the
and so
bright,
yeah.
oh, here we go. During the bright Nordic summer, a group of children reveal their dark and mysterious powers when the adults aren't looking. In this original and gripping supernatural thriller, playtime takes a dangerous turn. Uh, yeah, I love this movie. I also love that I didn't read this like description until just
No,
now.
of course not. No, I just
Uh,
saw the poster and remembered it being like I just saw horror kids. Yeah, I want to see
yeah.
it.
So mysterious powers when the adults aren't looking. I love that they. I don't know if I love that they put it in there, but I think it's cool they put it in there only because when I was thinking about talking about this movie in this episode,
Mhm.
I really wanted to bring up the fact that I think part of the message is that you really don't know what your kids are up to and or going
Mhm.
through unless you're like a much more engaged parent.
Yeah,
Like
that's
like
fair.
even
And I
even
mean, even when you feel like you might be engaged, you're missing probably.
yeah, you
But
never well
also, kids are gonna have this world that they live in, and they're gonna
right.
experience things, and you aren't gonna be able to penetrate it because it's their world.
No, exactly, exactly. And I think that's what I loved the most about
Yeah.
this movie was how terrifying it is as a potential parent or a parent,
Yeah.
um, being like, wow, when my kid is playing with other kids in the woods, I have no fucking clue what they're doing.
Mhm.
Like or what and I they come back and I say, "Did you have fun?" and they say yes, and I serve dinner. Like it was just crazy to think about, and I'm really glad that
Yeah,
this
it's
movie made me think that.
mhm. I think that it's been a while since I've watched a movie. I don't know, maybe it's because it was with kids, but it has such a it does a really great job of conveying or evoking the dread or the concern or the anxiety that you're gonna have throughout a lot of the film. Like, you're just gonna feel a little bit icky or not well, and you're gonna sweat a lot of moments. You're gonna get it had a lot of those emotions, and yeah, it would definitely with the way that the kids were, it's just a scary time in general to be a kid. It's scary to be a parent right now, and this movie didn't do help any with feeling good. Definitely as a parent of soon to be a third child, I'm definitely concerned. Like right now, my like the things that I'm worrying about are like my son, my oldest, is going to be in first grade in the fall, and already he's starting to trade like Pokemon cards at school. He doesn't
Oh,
know the game. He doesn't can't read all the words on it,
sure,
but he likes the Pokemon because of the cartoon, and so he'll take some to school, and he'll make a trade. Well, he like came to my house with a card that was like beat the hell up, and he's like, "Yeah, I traded this kid for it." I'm like, "Dude, you shouldn't have traded like for this piece of shit card. Like, this kid probably took a perfectly fine, good looking card that you had." And so I was like a little bit upset with him, or not with him, but like for him, like this, he was taken advantage of. And this is just
sure,
an innocent, dumb little Pokemon card. This means nothing. He doesn't care. He still thinks it's a cool Pokemon, but I see it as like, fuck this other kid.
Right,
you
right.
know.
Your kid got
And
taken
I'm like,
advantage of at school, right?
this is just a dumb, innocent little Pokemon card thing. And it's so meaningless, but that little moment for me, I'm already like, gave me uncomfortable feelings in my fucking chest, where I'm like, oh, come on,
Yeah.
It's like this movie does that, but cranks it up to a goddamn 11.
Yeah, I
Uh,
I think like even the good parents in the film, which are not and I don't want to say that some of them are bad parents. I'm saying
the white parents, you mean?
the the good, yes, the good parents. Not because they're white.
I'm just
uh
fucking around. So like, well,
yeah.
that's the one thing. So this movie does a lot, deals with a lot of uncomfortable imagery and things,
Oh God, it's so
and it's
good.
beautiful
It's
because of
so
that.
good. Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna say this because apparently other people feel this way. Uh, but there's trigger warnings that should be said in this for sensitive viewers. So if you watch this film, we've already told you spoilers, and you should watch this film for sure. You should watch this film.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Watch this movie as soon as possible.
there's an animal cruelty trigger warning for this film that apparently I actually watched a guy review this film, and he intentionally gave it a lower score because he didn't like the animal cruelty scene. This is a grown ass man who was so uncomfortable with watching that scene that they judged the movie negatively because this is a fucking child.
So I would say that um that yeah, if you're watching a horror movie, you know, all bets are off when it comes
Yeah.
to death and gore.
The
Like,
amount of gratuitous violence that's in so much shit out of this world
yeah.
that isn't in this movie but exists, but this one thing with an animal, I didn't like it, and so I
But
it got less points because of that.
and I mean obviously this guy doesn't know what's going on because in every single case study of every maniac serial killer in the world, what's the first thing that they do? Cruelty to
Yeah.
animals as children. And that is the first instance of foreshadowing that this kid is the villain if
Yeah.
this movie
It's
has
what
a
we
villain.
all did,
Yeah.
magnifying glass with ants or something else like that. Like, and it even happens in this movie early on with our lead and the earthworm, like
Right.
kids are investigating and learning and understanding the world. Like this event that's going to happen, like it has a logical evolution to this character and it all makes sense and it's disturbing and uncomfortable, but it's necessary to help heighten the experience of their detachment from a good life, Uh, so it's perfect. But so I put it in there because I heard several people talking about it in a way that was made them very uncomfortable and felt like, "Oh, I wish I would have known." I couldn't look at the screen. Like, be a grown fucking adult and
Yeah.
watch the movie.
Oh,
And
I really couldn't take it when that cat died, but when that 10-year-old girl got stabbed, that was fine.
yeah,
Get the fuck out of here,
it's
dude.
so bizarre. But I put that in there, and I mean all the other things that are going on. So,
Okay.
Christ.
All right. So here we
Uh,
go.
well, what do you mean? Here we go. What you want to get
Uh,
into?
oh no 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 no. We we can keep going. Keep keep talking about the cat
So
scene.
no, no, no. It's not that. But I mean, like, so okay. We talked about the emotional experience of the film, dealing with the
Oh
children. Okay, so let's talk about the children
oh
also.
the
A couple things about the children.
the four best performances of the year.
It's insane, and I fucking had a tweet about it. And I think even IFC who distributed this. I think IFC Midnight distributed this.
Yes, they did.
Um, saying like they retweeted something. I was like, oh well, guys, I've been trying to talk about your shit for fucking ever. I've been trying to screen your shit at my local theater here. How about
Yeah.
you fucking let us do some screeners and shit press release
Yeah.
for your
Let's
fucking
go.
movies so that more people see it. Anyways, they retweeted because I talked about the four fucking child actors are insanely perfect in this movie.
They're so good. Raquel and Alva deserve a shared Best Actress award for the year.
It's wild.
Those two are so incredible, Raquel specifically because her character goes through the hero's journey. Um,
Right.
you
Uh,
know,
but
but also and
Alva
also Alva for
going
going
full
full
retard.
retard.
Holy
for,
shit.
as you know, in the words of Robert Downey Jr., written by Ben Stiller, you can never go full retard. Um,
Unless you do it this perfectly, where you're
uh,
like, how the fuck did they get this autistic girl to not be autistic sometimes?
yeah,
Like,
no.
what the fuck? It was
Is
insane. Like,
is she
it's
autistic? I don't think so.
I
Right?
don't
She's
know.
she's
I
got
know
to be.
because she's
Yeah,
got to control when she, you know,
yeah.
talks and acts differently where she seems to have it in
This
control.
is
You
her
know,
this is her only credit. Is this movie?
she was unbelievable. And I've listened to the to Escobar talk about the children a little bit. I think this girl was 10 that plays that character. A
Oh my
10-year-old
god.
having this kind of fucking range with the material. It's insane.
Oh
I
yeah.
want to say the girl that plays Aisha was 7 or something like that. So doing a film like this, just the child labor laws, casting had to be a fucking chore, you know, to
Oh
go
yeah.
through and try to find the right kids because and just all of them are goddamn perfect. It's unheard of. You never
Yeah.
see something like this where each character is so and each actor hits it perfectly and they emote so much in their performance. It's
Oh yeah. I loved the relationship between Ida and Anna, and
mhm,
like it starts off, so we're getting all the like background information on Ida and Anna because they're gonna be our main characters, and she like pinches her leg in the car, um, and then she pinches her again later, and she says she doesn't feel it.
mhm.
But that's when Aisha's there, right?
Yeah,
And
later on
and
Aisha tells her no, she feels all
she
everything
she
you're
she
doing.
she hurt she see it doesn't hurt her or something like that, and the
Right.
Aisha's translation is it hurts her on the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah, which can be
Mhm.
taken two ways. She actually does feel the pain, or it just makes her sad that their sister does that to her.
Right.
I mean, so like this, like the once again, so subtitled again, so like you're reading and you're interpreting everything at like a deeper level because you're not just listening.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, it was so good.
Yeah. So with that also because there's all children, it's about children, you know, that little blurb talked about when the adults aren't looking. The adults are very much in the background. I love that that choice was made for this film. Like you don't know a lot. I've heard people complain about like, "Oh, well, you don't get all the backstory. You don't really understand why this parent is like this and why this parent's like that." And it's like, well, that's the fucking point for a lot of reasons. And so, like, that's a shitty reason to again feel disengaged from the movie. It's not that they're not giving you enough. They're it's leaving it it's like just like Antlers. The background that happened with Jesse Plemons and, what's their names, characters as children, those flashbacks you'd get, those blips, it was just enough to kinda make it intriguing and interesting and to know that there was trauma and bad things that happened, and you kinda see a little bit of it. It was enough to explain or for me to understand their character at a deeper level. And the same thing happens here, I think. All of the adults that are in the background most of the film, with the exception of Ida and Anna's parents, who have a bit more of a foreground role, although
Yeah,
not much more
not much more.
than Ben and Aisha's parent, um, parents, singular parents.
Right. Each one a single mother too, which
Right.
was an interesting choice.
Their scenes, there's enough information there for you to glean what's going on in the story there to help understand the children even more so and the reasoning behind their actions being like, you know, on 2 different sides of the spectrum with Aisha and Ben practically, and it's understandable, believable, it's rich, it's there's depth there. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
understand the complaint that there's somehow something lacking in the film because you don't get enough backstory or things going on or I need to you need to tell me that that mother is acting that way because she's addicted to drugs and there's an abusive father to the child, and now they live here because they had to separate because there was a domestic violence thing. It's like I don't need to see a flashback with that to understand that there's trauma right now. Like I get it. You
Yeah.
showing her crying behind a cupboard. I understand. It's
Right.
enough. It's intriguing. I don't know the whole story, but I can piece together what it probably is. That was great. And then the other thing I wanted to mention about this film is the cinematography and how
Oh
they
yeah.
play with things like the children's perspective. It's almost as if you're in the children's eyes,
Yeah.
like the scene with her, which is on the poster, which is like kind of like clued in, where you're like paying attention more so in that scene. She's
Yeah.
on that tire swing and she's like her eyes are up, and you see the plane kind of coming at it from the top of the screen into the building, like, behind it, and it's just 2 blocks of color with a shape, and it's just beautiful, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I mean this movie was beautifully shot, and I do like they took a lot of height at like the waist of an adult, it looks up at the adults, and
Yeah.
it's not necessarily POV because the kids are over here, but the camera's still at their head height, kind of watching them come into the
Yeah.
room, and it was very interesting. A lot of also like out of focus, and then it would come into focus as it progressed through the shot.
Mhm.
They did a bunch, especially with the parents. I thought more than with anything else.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of, Elijah Wood in, the Radio Flyer movie where it was always you would just see the father's, like, legs, sorta like in Peanuts, where you just see or Muppet Babies,
Right, right. Yeah, you don't see the
Like,
heads. Yeah,
it's like that
yeah,
kinda thing because 'cause you're in their world, you're in their universe,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's really cool. Uh,
I also really
and
liked how touching on the world of the children, and not to call parents clueless, but also trusting, where they're like, no, you can't go outside, and then she just goes outside. Like Ida just opens the door and goes outside. Like
Mhm.
you tell them to do something or not to do something, and then you expect them to be in their room playing, and
Right.
but they went outside, and now you have no idea where they are or what they're doing. Um, just like really, really good, interesting choices, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, it's an interesting living situation too because the environment that all the characters are living in are these weird sort of high-rise apartment complexes that are on a larger compound of other units, and they don't necessarily seem it's not like, quote unquote like Section 8 type housing or low income housing, but it very well could be very affordable. But there's probably nicer suites and less nice suites, but they
Sure.
all sort of have the same bones in this compound with green space nearby. So there's sort of a sense of community there. And by the end of the movie, whenever everyone comes back from their holidays, you see the life that would be there, and we're just not experiencing that through most of the film. And the most of the film is just this narrowed focus where everyone else is gone, and now they're coming back. And so I think that's a really interesting juxtaposition, and the fact that there's this location where it gives them that freedom to get into trouble and go out on their own and become individuals and to strengthen their little bodies to who they are and to figure out their world. Like it's a logical, sensical explanation of what kids are going to be getting into whenever they're in this kind of an environment, and just really gives you a lot to think about or just to sit with. Like this I've been sitting with for the past 2 weeks ever since I saw it, just
Oh
like,
yeah.
man, like
Yeah, I
mulling it
kind of
over.
wish I could have seen it a second time before tonight. It was so excellent though. Okay, so what we have is this family. The daughters are Ida and Anna, and they just move into this high rise. And Ida goes out to make some friends. Did she bring Anna with her the first time she goes out? I think she does, but this is where she meets Ben, right?
No, she doesn't bring
She doesn't bring Ben with.
Anna with her, no,
Yeah,
because and so more or less like the intro is like you just you see the leg pinch, they get there, and she like pieces out and does her own thing. And that's when she comes across Ben. She goes to the lake, she stomps on the worm.
Right.
So it's like early on, you're like, yeah, this kid's kind of a little fucker.
Yeah, yeah.
like,
She
right.
pinched her. She pinched the sister. She killed the worm.
But
You
already, because the sister is obviously, what is what's the new word that everyone is using? Um, shit, I should know the word to describe someone that's not, not that they're necessarily autistic, but uh, divergent, neurodivergent.
no, yeah, yeah. There you
Yeah,
go.
neurodivergent. So that's how you can describe Anna's character as neurodivergent in whatever capacity. It's hard to really tell, but you know that there's something going on there. And so everything that Ida's doing, you can kind of understand. Like as a kid, you have a sister or sibling like this, it probably takes a lot of the attention or focus off of you, and that probably is a shitty feeling, where you have like some resentment or like just weird feelings, and you're gonna lash out a little bit. So like the pinching kind of makes sense, and maybe like the squishing of the worm, like she doesn't want to fucking be here. They're going here. She wishes she was going on a vacation somewhere else, which she talks about in a little bit. But it's like you understand her frustration, but she's still acting like a bit of a dick, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. No, I think that like all of her behavior is definitely warranted and like completely understandable.
Right.
But yeah, she is kind of like you're like, oh, this is a little bitch, this little girl.
Right. So yeah, she meets Ben real quickly, and Ben takes her to the woods. You see the treehouse, and that's where he wants her to test his ability that he's just discovered.
Right, right. So she drops something and he kind of moves it before it hits the ground. It started with a rock, but that was too heavy, so she did something smaller.
Yeah, like a bottle cap, I think, and
Yeah,
he shoots it as she drops it in front of him.
yeah,
And so I didn't know anything about the film, and when this was the first thing that I see, I'm like, oh, what?
yeah,
What are they gonna do with this? Like, I was very intrigued. Like, I was excited. I was like, "Oh, really? This is gonna be this kind of movie? Like, what the fuck? Cool."
yeah, yeah.
I was pumped up. I was a little geeked out. Like, "Holy shit! What are they gonna do?"
What was the found footage one with the teenagers?
Oh,
It was what
shit.
I.
I
It was the one. It's what I thought of right away.
Chronicle.
Chronicle. Yeah, I loved
Yeah.
Chronicle. Loved Chronicle. Anyway, um,
The other one that I haven't seen that I thought of, that I know this is similar, at least in part to, would be Brightburn, because it sort of has this
yeah.
super powery type thing.
I would skip Brightburn, but I already saw it. It was not good. Okay. um, so right, so Ben has his power, and Ida is trying to make friends. So the next time she goes out, she brings Anna, and um, Ben still kind of keeps it under wraps, but I think they try to test something every time they meet up,
Yeah, and they're just
and
playing around. And this is
eventually,
where Anna and Aisha meet.
right, me and
Um,
Aisha can hear Anna's thoughts, and Anna can hear Aisha's thoughts. So now Anna can communicate through Aisha, but also Ben is gleaning their thoughts as well.
right. So it seems that Ida is the only one that isn't gifted in this way, where there's telepathy, there's the kinetic, psychokinetic
Tele
abilities,
Yep.
and so they are now a group of four that are gonna kind of spend time together and play and test the bounds
Yeah.
of this power. Like, and so the film starts to progress through all of that.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
almost like a montage, but they do it a little slower where they're
yeah,
they're
this film
there.
is relatively slow with it.
Yeah. Well, that and like I think a montage would just be like super out of place in a movie
Yeah, that doesn't
like
make any
this.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're like spread way out in the woods, and they're seeing how close Ida, because she doesn't have the power, she whispers the word in the ear, and the other two figure it out, and then they back off. But now we make fun of Ben, and he has a little temper tantrum, right?
Hmm.
And also, we didn't discuss the cat scene.
I don't think it happens yet. The cat
Oh,
scene is gonna
okay.
be coming up.
That's gonna be coming up.
So yeah, what happens is like they're like testing the powers, and yeah, they're doing like telephone, but through their minds. So Ida will whisper something into Anna's ear, and then they're gonna try to get Aisha or Ben to hear it. And so then, like you're saying, they're in a scene later where they're further away in the woods, and they do that, and they say like Ben is a turd or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. They
yeah.
like, and he's like, and they all start giggling. Aisha's way far away,
Yeah.
the sisters are together, and Ben's over there making sort of like a triangle. You see Roll just quickly, and it's a really cool shot because like cinematography, it's
Yeah.
distant.
Yeah.
The distance that they are from each other is how you're looking at it, the things happen. You see Aisha get knocked over from
Yeah.
an invisible force,
Almost like
and then all of a
thrown.
sudden, yes,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, like camera cuts back to the girls, and they look down the hill at Ben would be, and you just see a rock fucking fly by their heads and
Yeah.
just barely miss them. And obviously came from Benny, where he hurled a rock like
Yeah.
super fast right past them, and they start to have a conflict. I think that's right even when Anna's not even there at the moment. I don't think. It was just Ida, Aisha, and Ben, and this is where Ben starts to kind of get really pissed off, and Anna kind of confronts him, and they're like both like staring each other down or saying like, "Don't fucking do this with one another." And the tree gets broken behind
Right.
them, and like you see this explosive force of
And
energy that occurs
yeah.
from them
And that's where
just mentally battling.
and Anna gets that splinter that she has to explain later.
Right. Right.
So,
So yeah, I think it's right after these events start to happen that the trigger warning scene kind of comes up.
yeah. So the parents see that splinter and they like come down on Ida really hard. Like, you're supposed to take care of your sister. You're supposed to watch your sister. What were you doing? Ida won't
Hmm.
won't tell them. She makes up a lie. The parents know it's a lie. Tell us the truth, or you're grounded. She's like, nah, I'll just be grounded, because I have this private little thing with my sister and these two kids, and I'm not gonna share it. Um, which is what kids do.
Yeah. So let's get into the cat scene because this, for me, this cranked it up to another level, and I was super pumped.
Right, right. Anastasia also thought that you would love this.
Yeah, any scene where like because it's like a trope in itself. Uh, where a pet or an animal gets offed in a movie. And so this one I just thought was a very creative way to do it. And I did not expect them to really follow through and take it to the level that they did.
Yeah, it was a lot more graphic than I expected. I will say
Yeah, it
that.
definitely
Yeah.
subverted my expectations. I expected to see like something off screen or you just know something's happening or whatever. So like yeah, Ben somehow finds the cat or the cat is just outside. It's someone's cat, obviously. uh and he like befriends it and they're petting it and stuff, and like they're just like he takes Ida and they just show up in the stairwell and he's like let's see what happens. And he
And
drops
they
it
drop it.
down the stairwell from like, and I can't think because they're just the stairs. He's like, no, let's go higher up, and she's like, higher up, are you sure we should go higher up? And
Right,
he's like,
right.
yeah. Because so she's not all on board with like what he's seemingly about to do, and then he does it, and like they run down, and this cat is fucked up. It
Yeah.
like you see a shot of it trailing around the corner, and so they start looking for it, and they find it, and Ben's at first kind of upset and saddened because it looks like it already died. He's like, oh, it died, I didn't.
Yeah. But
And I
then
just got her distance, but then it's like alive, and he's like, oh, and he's like looking at his broken leg, or he's like making fun of it.
yeah, and then he stomps its head, right?
Yeah, he like
Yeah.
slowly just like puts his heel over its small little cat head, and it's a far shot. Like you hear and the cat's kind of like meowing in pain, like from its broken leg and the fact that he's now got its head under his foot.
Yeah.
And Ida's like looking back, like, what are you doing? I don't like this." And you just hear the crunch, and it was very disarming. Like, I didn't like it. I was
Yeah.
pumped because I love seeing crazy shit like that happen, especially with cats. But I was cringing the whole time for sure.
It was very much like the scene in Needful Things when um
Hmm.
Rosanna Arquette, not Patricia Arquette, one of the Arquettes comes back to her house to find the dog dead.
Yeah.
Like, it was super cool to see the practical effects were great, but it was also like kind of like, you went a
Yeah.
little
I
too
definitely got
far.
I got sick about it, but like it was also awesome
Yeah, it was
because
awesome.
like
It was
like
awesome.
because you just don't see people go to that level.
Yeah.
Uh and so I think this is a good moment to talk because I feel like we've seen it a few times already. We might not have seen a ton yet, but it's you're gonna find out that Ben's home life is part of what's fueling this
Right.
disconnection from everything.
Yeah.
His mother is sort of it's again, it's open to interpretation, but his mother seems like disengaged or absent,
Yeah.
or she's very demeaning or demonstrably like antagonistic or abusive to him. There's a
Yeah.
few scenes where you see his body and you see bruises on his body,
Yeah.
and so the abuse seems apparent.
You don't know
She
if it's
talks down to
yeah.
him.
You don't know if it's her though, or if it's like the men she brings home. I don't think she's a prostitute, but I think they give the impression that she's like looking for a man with money or a man who can take care of them,
Right.
and like that's her only solution to the problem. Not like go out and get a job as is a
Sure.
solution. Is
Well, and
the
it you remember Choose or Die,
yeah
where the girl's mother was clearly like they made it so obvious, like there's needles on the thing. There's a
yeah
guy that fucking introduced himself like, "Hey, your mother better fuck me if you want me to get rent. What are you doing?"
yeah
Like I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like this movie, it's like let it stay somewhat open
yeah
to
to
you just
interpretation.
know
Absolutely, yeah,
we're pushing you in this direction. Do with the information what you will.
absolutely,
So him lashing out, just like when you talked earlier about like it's been studied and known from psychoanalysis analysis that murderers or serial killers, people that have traumatic adulthoods, started experimenting with cruelty in such a ways with animals, and
yeah,
so it is a necessary plot device to help put that feeling in your stomach, that dread or that concern, because you're seeing you're pairing that act with now these other acts that are continuing to go on of him having this superpower, and you're like, "Oh my fucking god. Like, this is gonna be bad. Like,
yeah,
you gotta fix this. Like, something what are you gonna do? Like, this is not good. This is not okay."
yeah,
Like, and that's what's so fucking great about this is, like and this kid is so goddamn perfect at being this little psycho.
yeah, yeah. He did such a great job.
But he's
Uh,
so like, you feel so bad for him. You connect with him, you see how sad his situation is, but you hate him too
yeah.
because he's just taking the wrong path.
All right.
So well done.
So let's do what we did in the last movie. Let's give us our rating, and then let's
Oh,
hit the
yeah, yeah?
highlights. Yeah, guys, I think that's all that's left there. Highlights.
Okay,
Lots
sure.
of big
Yeah.
scenes.
Okay.
So I am giving The Innocents a 9 out of 10.
Hey, dude, it's been a little while since we've connected the same way with movies. I also rated this a 9 out of 10.
All right,
I
yes,
don't know if it's a movie that I'm gonna like be like, rewatching or whatever, but like if I look back at this year, I know that this is gonna be one of the best movies that I saw.
yeah, yeah. This is gonna be if it doesn't make the top five, it will definitely be an honorable mention.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can't say it'll if it'll top five. Obviously, we're only in
Yeah,
June.
it's like, if more fun movies come out that are just like a
Yeah.
fun ride the whole time, because this isn't
Yeah.
fun necessarily. This is like an experience that you're
Yes.
really glad that you're taking, but you're not having fun watching it. You're
No, no,
not.
no. Yeah, and we have Evil Dead Rise this year, and we still have
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nope and the Black
Nope, next month. Black
Phone.
Phone this week. I'm fucking seeing
Yeah.
it
Oh,
in
hell
2 nights,
yeah.
brother.
Hell yeah. It'll be on
Thursday
next.
night.
Oh, we should do it for next week. Do the Black Phone
Oh, right, because we're talking about Crimes of the Future,
and Crimes of the
possible
Future.
dash cam.
So that's two big movies.
Yeah. All right. So
All right.
we kind of got into so the only other thing real quick, the backstory with Aisha is a
Oh, sure.
similar story to Ben. It's just that Aisha's mother just seems to be sad for whatever
Sad.
reason.
Yep.
She hides her emotions behind cupboards and doesn't want her daughter to see what she's experiencing.
Yep.
But she seems very good intent or a good
Yeah.
person.
Yep.
She's trying to provide for her. She's just
She
suffering
does.
from depression or
Yeah.
sadness. Maybe it's a partner that isn't there anymore. Whatever it is.
She's just doing her best, and they're obviously poor, and she's a, as far as we can tell, she's a good mom or a good person, right?
Yeah. So, and whenever I made the joke earlier, whenever the normal kids like, and I was talking about like their whiteness because Ida and Anna's characters are Caucasian. Ben and Aisha are not. It's a little bit of a one could draw miss ill intent or an inappropriate connection between the fact that these characters are sort of like secondary or different or other, classify them, and it has something to do with skin color. Like there's like an association there, like these are the good kids and these ones maybe not so much. It doesn't really fit because Aisha's a sympathetic character, but it is unfortunate that it just happens to fit that way with the way that they did their casting choices. I don't think that the director is intending on anyone interpreting it in that kind of manner.
I mean, absolutely
I'm
not.
just
Like,
trying to objectively see how this can be misinterpreted
yeah.
by
Uh,
a different kind of person.
I'm sure the cat guy is like that little Ben is a terrorist because Ben's the villain and he definitely looks like Middle Eastern descent. So the guy who got offended by the cat probably said something about that, but I don't think anybody else out there is.
Well, and it's just unfortunate because, like, they're the ones that have the single parent households, and
Right.
it's just like the unfortunate statistics of what they're doing. It's like reinforced in maybe a potential negative stereotype. Whenever I'm watching these kind of things, I think I detach from that and I see it just as like the piece of art that it is, and I don't bring it into real world. Like, oh yeah, obviously this is a person of color, and that's why they have a single parent household, and that means this and this. That doesn't happen with me, but it's kind of there and it's a little bit unfortunate. Maybe they could have just built it a little bit differently so that it wasn't even a an option to interpret it in a different way. But I don't know.
Sure.
I'm not
Sure.
giving it things. I'm just observing that that's the thing.
All
So
right.
that's Aisha's background.
All right. So we got some big moments. Was the kid before or after the mom?
The kid was before,
Before the mom. Okay, so Ben
and
figures
it's
out.
because Ben's getting pissed off with his mother. His mother's lashing out and
Right.
doing shit to him,
Right,
and so
right.
he's getting really frustrated.
And Ben has also figured out that he can control people and make them move around.
Yeah,
We don't
because
know
I think
exactly
he even does things with his mother. I think he does the stuff with his mother before,
before. Right, right.
but before the boy.
Yeah. All right. Does he make her like burn herself or something?
Yeah. She's arguing and she's cooking at the
Oh.
stove.
Oh, right. Oh,
He
she does that first. Yeah. So yeah.
that
So,
Yeah, I thought you were talking about Aisha's,
no, no, no,
which
no,
is
no, no,
very
no.
much at the
No.
end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No, no. His
No,
mom.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So Ben controls his mom. She's boiling hot dogs. Great Mom of the Year award. Uh,
Yeah. I mean, I definitely loved boiled hot dogs growing
love
up.
boiled hot dogs. I mean,
I
okay.
look back and I'm think it's disgusting because I grill the fuck out of them now. So that
Yeah.
funny story.
I
I had hot dogs tonight
I
because I
also
had leftovers from
right.
the weekend.
I also only eat beef hot dogs as an adult. The pork and chicken
Oh
hot
well,
dogs
yeah.
can fuck off.
No, no,
But
no,
as
no,
a
no.
kid, it
That's
was all about
not
pork and
okay.
chicken. Boiled pork and chicken was where it was
Well,
at.
there was no. I don't think there were beef hot dogs when we were.
Oh,
There
maybe
might have
not.
been like Sabrettes or other kind of
Right,
styles,
right, right.
kosher bullshit where it's like, no, those are the Jews hot dogs. You take that shit. Like, and I say that because that's probably what my parents would have told me.
Would have said right.
Uh,
Ugh,
you know,
yeah.
I grew up
All right.
Catholic, very Catholic.
So he makes her go over and grab the pot and just like pour the hot water all over herself, and
And it's
she
not
like,
how it happens.
is that not how it happens?
It's
Something
not how
like
it
that
happens.
happens.
He shifts it mentally, and
Oh, he
it
knocks it off
splatters
onto
her.
her.
It
Okay.
splatters her, and he's laughing, and she's like, "What the fuck are you laughing at?" And then he whacks her in the head with the pan
Yeah,
mentally,
yeah.
and then she gets knocked out unconscious,
And then he
and
knocks the whole
then
thing.
he pours the whole fucking thing onto her, and she can't do anything because she's just out.
Yeah. And then he doesn't, so not like the cat, he doesn't finish her off. So we know that she dies, but he just lets her lay there and die.
Yeah, and
And
he's kind
it's
of
like
reacting to it. He's okay with it, but eventually he's like he is upset that he did this.
yeah, yeah. He is showing
He
some
has
remorse.
remorse.
And that's where like so the movie doesn't go full bad guy with Ben I mean, it does, but like it makes you wonder if there's redemption. Um,
Yeah, or that there could have been, but like with this fucking woman as a mother, like
yeah,
she has no idea what she's getting into, and she's not helping the situation. Like regardless, he's not going to have a good fucking childhood with the way that
yeah,
she acts.
sure.
Regardless, without this power or whatever, it was not going to be a good situation.
Yeah, so because when we see him with the kids, Ida kind of controls his temper. Like if Ida is being nice to him, he's fine. If Ida doesn't like something
Right.
that he does, he gets mad because he has this connection to her.
Hmm.
Um, so there's a kid who, so they try to play soccer, Ida
Yeah, earlier,
and
yeah,
yeah,
earlier in the
and
movie,
this
even,
this
yeah.
kid kind of is like, get the fuck out of here. Um, and so Ben figures out right that he can control people. He even controls Ida in the forest, just to show her that he can do it, which really
Hmm.
freaks her out.
Right.
Which makes Ben upset because he doesn't like hurting Ida for whatever reason.
Right.
Um,
Well, yeah, it's like probably his first friend,
right.
seemingly, because he is the first one to see her across the lake at the start of the movie, and it's like maybe that's what it is, that he hasn't had a friend, and she's the first person to become a
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah, and they actually, they have a lot of fun together. They laugh and they play
Yeah, he
and
has that mind power, and she's like, "Yeah, I can do this with my arms." He like inverts
yeah,
her elbows a
right.
little bit, and he's like, "Oh my god, yeah, that's crazy."
Yeah, because they're kids, and
Right.
everything is amazing when you're a kid, right?
Yeah.
Um, so he
So he
can,
learns he can control people with his mind. Yeah.
controls a dude in some apartment to
Hmm.
go outside and to walk across this bridge where there's the boy, and he throws him over it, right? Or does he?
No, he
No, he
beats his
beats him
head
to
in
death.
with a
He beats his
rock.
head in. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because you see the blood stain on the bridge.
Right, right. So he just murders him.
Hmm.
Yep. And then,
And so, like,
wow.
this kind of causes like a potential plot wrinkle, because then some people are like, "Oh, well, why would you let your kids out after this?" This was an older kid, and so
Right,
the parents logical, at least Ida and Anna's parents, logically are like, that kid was way older than they are, right? Like that wasn't like a friend or anything like that. And so they're a little concerned, be careful, but like there's no reason to associate that with what could happen to you because it was a
right. It
different
was
thing.
different. Yeah, and also it was late. It was night.
Right.
Like it wasn't during the day,
Yeah.
which is when
The
they let them go
variables that
play. Yeah.
led to that you will never interact with. And so I think it's okay to continue to let you experience life out together.
Right. Um. Okay. So then we have there's a big rift, right? And it involves Anna.
Um,
They have another like
well,
an almost fight.
the no, yeah, I think there's another fight with Aisha, because she's starting to sense, like she sensed that something was going on with the mother, but she doesn't really know.
Right, right. Um, and so well, so then Ben has to rub out Aisha, but like I forgot what the inciting incident was for that.
Oh, well, so I think now it's just like Ida and Ben are he like wants to show her what he's capable of. And so then they are looking at the soccer field from afar. And this is, I think, where the next thing Ben does is he does this. And I think that's what gets Aisha so pissed off.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
where they have a conflict that Anna resolves and
Right,
gets him to
right.
stop. And
Yeah.
then that's what puts them like where
All
now
three of them
they're
are on defense.
opposed.
Yeah,
Right.
they're all like
Yeah.
he could kill any one of us. We gotta.
Right. So this was another scene that I thought was really well done. The anxiety was through the roof for me,
Oh
because
yeah.
you know what he's going to do. He's looking at the kids playing soccer. It's from far away, and he's like, "Just watch," and you're just waiting for something to happen. You know how it's going to happen or what he's going to do, but you've seen him do crazy shit. I think he has her right before this. I remember now. he has her hold the stick, and he's just
Right.
hold that stick out,
Yeah.
and he's just like looking at it, and he fucking snaps that
Snaps it.
goddamn
Yeah.
thing, and it's in pieces. And she's like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
And again, kids exploring shit, thinking it's cool as hell. And so he's like, "Now come watch this," and you're just thinking about that goddamn stick
Yeah.
the whole time, and you're just waiting and waiting, waiting. Oh my god,
This
this scene
guy, yeah,
was
this kid's driving down
tense.
the lane and then his leg or his ankle just
Yeah, just like his
crunch.
just pop.
Yeah.
It's super gross.
Yeah.
Uh,
The
And
screaming.
really and yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the thing, you hear the screaming, and so then I think Aisha confronts him like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
And they start having their powers back and forth, but he's overpowering her. I think he's making her choke, and she can't breathe,
Right. Right.
and so then Anna comes and saves Aisha
Aisha.
and gets Ben to stop.
And I think Ben also realizes here that Anna is probably stronger than him.
Yeah.
I think Ben definitely is aware that she's
Mhm.
stronger.
Yeah.
Um, so for whatever reason, once
Mhm.
again, it's a lot. The movie is a lot of nuance, a lot for interpretation.
Yeah, and with, like, the way that we're getting into some of these bigger beats, like, there's a lot going on in between this, little things that you'll see and, that just give more detail and nuance to each character and the way that they're evolving,
Oh yeah,
that we're just not gonna get into. The cinematography of when Aisha is, like, first discovering her power to communicate with the other kids, like, that where it's going through the complex,
yeah,
that aerial view in the fog is really interesting. I loved all that.
oh
The
yeah,
way that they show how those things are evolving was beautifully done. So now there's 3 against 1 for the most part, but really it's just 2 because Ida's kinda useless. But Anna and
right,
Aisha have a bond, and Ben is threatened at this point. He's done
right,
something wrong. He's been confronted by doing something wrong. The heat's on him. At
yep,
some point, they're gonna finger him, and he's gonna get in trouble for all the shit that he's done, and he's doesn't want to face any of those consequences.
right.
And
Um,
so he
but
utilizes his new skill set.
but with all of this still in his brain going on, he still wants to be Ida's friend.
Mhm.
He still believes that Ida's his friend. Um, so Ida uses this against him to to she realizes that she has to. Oh no, 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 wait. This is what happens next, right? Yeah. All right. So first, you couldn't go ahead and do this one.
No, it's fine because the he wants to take care of Aisha.
So he takes care of Aisha, right? So this is
Right.
where we
So
get to see. So we got to see a little bit of how he controls people with Ida, but now we get to see it for real with how he controls Aisha's mother.
yeah,
Um,
he from his room, he's able to just kind of put his mind out there and take over people's bodies. And like whenever we see it with Ida, he makes her think that the log next to her is a snake. She's afraid of
right.
snakes, and that's what she sees.
Yep.
He doesn't force her to see a snake. It's just that they explain it, and it's really kind of cool mythology here of like this power where what you fear
Yeah.
or some other subconscious type thing triggers, and that's what you see as a threat or something, and it gets you to do
Yeah.
the action that he needs. And
So it makes Aisha look like a monster almost,
like a
right?
yeah, like a yeah, holding a dead rabbit or something, but
Yeah.
it's her toy bunny. Yeah, it looks like a
Yeah.
monster because 'cause they're just having a normal night, and she
Yeah.
leaves the room. She goes because she hears this thing, and it's that she's in this other world now. It's almost like we talked about Stranger Things. It's kinda like the Upside Down
Sure,
in a little
sure.
bit of a ways.
So she
Because you can just
yeah.
think of it as like the same geographical footprint and same people, but they're not themselves.
Yeah, she grabs like
A kitchen
a
knife.
kitchen knife and comes
Yeah.
back with it, and the Aisha's like, "Mom, what are you doing?" And then with no struggle, no fight, no action, the knife just slides
Comes from behind,
comes from behind,
right?
just slides right in.
And so this for me, like, was way more traumatic
Yeah, it
than the cat, obviously. So like, because Aisha was a beautiful character. Aisha is the one that's connected with Anna. She's
yeah,
the one that has gotten Anna to vocalize
Yep.
words to her mother and
Yep.
sister that is now giving them hope that this what they're deeming as autism that she's experienced since she like turned 3 or 4, where she had speech and then it just regressed and went
Yep.
away. Like there's this light and life. And so Aisha's character is like she's helping people. She is
Yeah.
a
She was
good-hearted
definitely
person.
the she was the heart of the team, right?
Yeah. And she's still so innocently like approaching her mother, like, what is it? What do you do? She's just like she's just fucking stabbed. And then the mother comes out of the trance
Yeah.
and it's just happening.
It just freaks
And
out
it's
and
so tragic.
yeah.
And she
And then gets
calls the
arrested
cops right away.
for killing her daughter
Right. And that's what's
and
sad too, is because now it's like the next thing. And like now Ida is trying to process it and the father's talking with her. And this is the other thing too, where the interpretation of the events can be this is how an adult explains it. Like the supernatural element cannot occur. And so they see like it was a single mother. She was mentally ill. She was
right.
sick
She was
in the
sick.
head. And
Yeah.
that's why she did this. You're
Yeah.
safe. You don't have anything
Yeah.
to worry about. Ida knows she's not safe because it's fucking Ben that did
It's
this.
Ben, yeah. And now that now Ben she has to come up with a fucking plan to murder she's
Right.
10. She's 10. She has to murder another 10-year-old and her 12-year-old autistic sister has to help out.
Right. Like how the fuck who she can't communicate to anymore with
Because
because
without
Aisha's
Aisha and
gone.
Ida doesn't have any
Yeah.
powers. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it feels more and more hopeless for her, but she gives it a shot. She tries.
Yeah, right. So she lures him to that bridge, the same bridge where he had the teenager beat to death.
Yeah, which I feel like, he should have saw something was coming
Hmm.
earlier. Like he's a kid though. But I think it was pretty obvious the
Yeah, she
plan.
she
She's
kind of
she, she she's like, "Yeah, here's a toy plane." She's like, why don't you get up
get up
on
on.
the ledge there and throw it?"
Yeah, you'll get a better throw.
Yeah.
And he gets up there and she goes to push him and she gets caught by like a stranger. He's like, "What are you
Yeah.
trying to do? What are you doing?"
Hey,
And
get down from there. Yeah.
she pushes him. She sees that she's getting in trouble anyway. She pushes
Yeah,
him
she's
right
like,
up.
"Fuck,
She's like,
gotta
I got to save
gotta
myself and
do
my
it."
sister," and pushes him right off this thing. And I
Mhm.
guess he doesn't land on the road though. He lands in the
No,
grass.
on the side, the berm, the
Yeah,
median, whatever. He's not in the road.
yeah,
So she runs away, and very quickly as she's running away, she's now in the upside down. And she's experiencing her visions of other figures that are coming after her, and it's kind of throwing her off. And she's walking, but she's now off the bridge and around the forest and towards the road, and she's coming into the road, and there's a car coming, and she barely jumps out in time, and she's clipped by a car, and she wakes up in a hospital. So
right.
now, do you interpret this? This seems like this was Ben doing this,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So somehow he was able to get her to walk into
Well,
traffic.
to
It
walk into
seems.
traffic. Yep, yep. And yep.
Uh,
So she comes out of it, and now it's like,
yeah.
uh-oh.
What can they do? Yeah.
Um. So do you think she exhibited any signs of power when she got clipped by the car?
When she got clipped by the car, no.
No, like she didn't throw herself
I don't
as
I don't think that
like
that was it wasn't
reactively.
overt.
No,
I
okay,
didn't
yeah,
interpret it that I didn't interpret it until she was like now her sister's left the fucking room and she's got to go help like that when she gets rid of the cast. That's the only moment when I thought, okay, she's something's happened and it's
right.
awoken in her
It's
and for
awoken.
some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah,
It's not explained how, maybe I don't know how. It doesn't make
yeah,
sense. Doesn't you don't really understand. But like yeah, things are going to culminate here at the end of the scene. So cuz what is it? The mother is goes out. And I think that you might be interpreting this as Ben controlling her to go out possibly
yes, yes. I think it was.
because like I think she's like packing to get some things together and then it doesn't make sense that she just leaves. Plus she wouldn't leave the kids unattended
Right.
because they're just going to go out and that's what happens, right? Anna goes out and she comes down to the water's edge.
Yep.
Everyone is now back from the summer from their
Yep.
holiday.
So there's people everywhere. Ida is there, or Ida
She's
eventually
not there
gets out.
yet.
Yeah.
right. Anna and Ben are on opposite sides of the water that we see
Right.
at the beginning of the movie, and they're kind of just doing their mental battling.
Battle. Yeah.
Uh, like watching X-Men, it's like
Yeah.
where there's something going on, but you don't get to see it. You see the water rippling, leaves rustling, and you see them kind of like collapsing or like moving back. Like
Yeah.
there's this unforeseen unseen force that's occurring. And
And
it's like
I think
tit for
Anna
tat.
Anna kind of loses too, right? She kind of
Yeah.
like stumbles backwards and kind of almost falls. Um,
Yep.
but then that's when Ida gets there, and they. How does he get to the swing? Does he just go sit in the swing
I
himself,
think yeah, like I think he's like impacted and hurt, or like it seems like
or he's
she
tired?
overpowered him,
Yeah.
and so then he ends up collapsing or sitting onto the swing, and so that, yeah, at this point, Ida has come down the stairs, and it's that scene where she's got a cast from the car accident.
Yeah.
She is trying to break it with her by herself on the stair and just like
Right.
shatter the
Right.
plaster, but it's not working. So then she screams and uses the power, a kinetic type power,
Yeah.
telekinetic
It's
power,
like
and she
bursts it.
shatters the
Yeah.
cast.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I'm just gonna run.
Yeah.
And she's able to run. So and then the two of them are together
And
and
they
they get
hold.
down there
Yeah.
and now they're doubled up to go after Ben. He sits on that swing and you see them kind of concentrate and
Yeah.
this like whoosh
That
of
that
energy
whoosh. Yeah.
just leaves his body.
And he yeah, and he also like his head goes down and the stuff
Yeah,
just like falls down.
slumps, right.
Yeah, and he slumps onto the swing, and everybody
Yeah.
around him is still playing and having a good old time.
So here's the other thing. Okay, and then they go home. Father shows up, and then the father's like, "Yeah, there's a kid that's died at the ambulance or whatever." And like you see Anna with her scribble pad, she's drawing on it. And I love this because I love the scene. I wanted to mention it. She's drawing, and then she does the eraser on it, and she just like kind of pauses and is like just looking, and you see the clean slate. And I thought that was a really beautiful way to end the movie
Right,
because the way you can interpret it is just there, is a tabula rasa type thing.
right, right.
Their
For her,
future,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
for is it there's a pensive weightness where she's cognizant and she's reaching out or considering
what to do
what's
next?
happening,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Um,
like that she will start to get back from the neurodivergence that she's experiencing.
sure. Even if not, she has Ida now, who is powered and can conceivably communicate with her the same way Aisha could.
Hmm.
Which means she at least won't be alone in the world, which is also a nice thought. Once again, all of it left open to interpretation. Real, just done so well. Um,
The other thing though that was I wanted your opinion on is that end scene, the final battle that's occurring with the characters. All of the kids are gathering on the balcony, or many kids are gathering on the
oh yeah,
balcony
yeah, yeah,
to watch the battle. And it seems as if they're all aware of what's happening.
yeah. So I mean, I think that's showing all the kids in the complex that are powered, right?
Yeah.
So
That's
so
that's that's how I'm interpreting it.
So I wonder if you could go back and watch it a second time, right? You could assume Aisha and Ben were exposed to whatever gave them the power because they've lived there longer. Now, what did Anna do in the beginning of the movie that Ida never didn't do until later in the movie? So why did Anna get it first? Why did Ida get it later? um, if there was something they were exposed to on the grounds of this apartment complex, that is what gave them the power. Because we have
Hmm.
all these kids who are powered for no reason. So I mean, but that's like if you're looking for a physical explanation
Right.
as to like how they got their powers, like in a superhero kind of
Right. Where's
explanation.
the spider?
Right.
Where's the
Yeah.
gamma rays that did this?
Right.
uh
There's another way you can look at it. It's just like well, these kids are awakened and these kids aren't,
mhm.
and to be awakened you have to go through some kind of trauma, and um, you know Ida goes through this near-death experience of getting hit by the car and has powers after it.
Mm-hmm.
Anna we can assume has had all sorts of trauma,
Mm-hmm.
as same with the other two.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it too.
So Ida doesn't get her power until after her trauma. Um,
Right. The events that happen with all of them that have already had it, and now what she experienced were the near death experience of
yeah,
avoiding the
no,
car.
she lost Aisha. She
Mm-hmm.
tried to murder someone, and then
Yeah.
she got hit by a car. All compiled to awaken this power in her.
Well, and that's a really cool kind of way to touch back to the title of the film being the innocence,
The innocence, yeah,
plural of like, as children, the innocence as the characters, that the loss of innocence.
yeah.
There's a
I'm,
lot of
I,
beautiful ways to just live with the movie and to
yeah.
experience it.
Well, that's just it. Is like I loved that Ben killed his mother, and I was still rooting for Ben to not be the villain.
Yeah.
I still
Yeah.
wanted Ben to get better. I didn't want
Right.
him to keep killing.
Hmm.
Like after that, like after the mother, it was like okay, he's done. He's off the rails. Like
Yeah.
he's the villain. He'll, that's the storyline, right? But the cat and then the mom, because the mom is so understandable as a child, feeling so much like rage, hate, and resentment for someone you
Hmm.
love because of how they treat you. Like, I totally get it from the child perspective with that kind of power,
Right.
not
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like it's an unknown force that he doesn't know how to handle or control,
right.
and it's just an emotional lash out. Like maybe it's just a thought of like thinking to cause harm,
Yeah.
and in reality, with this, it is causing harm,
Yeah.
and it was not intended to do that. He was
Yeah.
just angry, and his emotions overrode his his consciousness and did this awful
Right.
act that he
Yeah.
was not in control of.
Yeah, so I was still rooting for Ben until he took over the man to murder the teenager.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean that's what sets this movie apart from other movies. That's what sets eights, nines, and tens apart from seven and belows. They make you feel, they move you, they make you think. And this movie definitely did it all.
Yeah. Just like fucking crazy that these children led this film.
Oh my
Because you're
God,
never once are taken out of the film because of how they're acting. It all
no,
seems like just genuine, like this is them. And I've we've said that a few times with different characters and the roles that they portrayed. It happens from time to time, and God, it's just like with this film, it was incredible. I'm in awe that a
no,
child that age can do this.
no.
It's
All
insane.
of those performances were insane. I have never. I mean, like American children actors and actresses are, it looks like they got fed the line right before they hit record.
Yeah, it's different. Like you think of
It,
like, like what we were
it's
just talking about Stephen King movies earlier. And so like you think of The Stand, right?
I actually never
Or
watched
Stand
The
by Me.
Stand.
Stand
Oh,
by
Stand
Me.
by Me. Yeah, Stand by Me. Well, they were all fantastic. I mean,
Right, but it's a different kind of portrayal, you
sure,
know?
sure. Yeah, it's definitely a different movie, and they were also much older than these kids were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't even come up with a good example
Yeah.
other than like Leia in Obi-Wan, who's obviously very young, and I'm not saying that, that she's a bad actress, but it's
The
obviously,
critically acclaimed limited series that is having its season finale tomorrow.
yeah, it's a great series, but I mean her acting is it's not
Great.
good. It sounds like she's reading,
I mean, it's not a 9.
Oh,
Okay, if you're giving Obi-Wan limited
Obi-Wan?
series as of now, what do you give that out of a 10?
Ooh, I don't know.
Without the finality,
Without the
without
finale,
the finale,
probably a
what are
7.
you
Probably a
7?
7. Yeah.
I'd give it a 5.
Yeah,
I think that's generous.
it it really needs the last episode to blow me away.
We'll have to see. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, because like it's just there's been so many things that are just like flat to me
I really liked the
that
first two episodes, or I really didn't like the first two episodes. But three, four, and five all gave me something. You
yeah,
know.
it got better. But like the Riva story, it makes sense, I guess.
Sure. Yeah,
I
I'm
don't know
fine.
how I don't know how this the Grand Inquisitor fucking comes back to life after getting uh impaled by a lightsaber. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess okay. I mean, if
Well,
Anakin can survive being uh
yeah.
fucking cut in
Chopped
half.
up like that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
The power of the dark side is strong.
It's very strong. Yeah, I'm with it. I mean, I think Ewan McGregor is crushing it in the role. I'm really loving anytime Vader's on the screen. So I'm getting what I want out of it. The B
Sure.
plots and the
Yeah.
C plots are kind of meh, whatever. But
Yeah.
the A plot's fine, good enough for me.
Yeah, I feel like it's left me when you see how grand and how awesome something like The Mandalorian can be, it's like
Yeah,
you wish that you could see that kind of an energy or storytelling with these characters that you love
yeah.
in a different way, and it's just not there.
Well, so what I like about the show is what it does for filling in the blanks, right? Right in A New Hope, which was shot in 1979, uh,
Mhm.
you know, the recording of R2D2, Princess Leia, help me Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. Luke
Right.
only knows him as Ben. So we have a gap to fill in where he gets to know Leia to the point where she calls him Obi-Wan and is the only person in the galaxy that could help her,
Right.
and Luke only knows him as the crazy old man named Ben
Right.
who keeps an eye on him.
Mhm.
So if there's a season 2 or season 3, obviously we can do more of that, but like season 1 right here, Leia gets kidnapped, Obi's got to save her. Yeah, it's really like D&D adventure-esque where it's like, "Oh, go here. Oh, go there. Oh, my thing didn't broke down, so I got to fetch the part and I got to." And that was very Mandalorian anyway.
Yeah.
The fetch quest or RPG
Right,
style
right.
storytelling.
Well, and I follow Red Letter Media on YouTube,
Yeah.
and they will always do reviews, and they just did a recent recap and review of Obi-Wan, and they were laughing at the scene where they're on that speeder run by the guy with the mole guy with the face,
Yeah.
and like the laser bridge is still up, and he's like, "Oh, we got to get around this," and he's
Oh,
like, "You got to shoot it," and it's like, just walk around the fucking gate, like
yeah, yeah,
you're in
yeah,
the open desert. It's like they're laughing, making fun
yeah,
of that, like how absurd it was. Like there's no need to
yeah,
blast it like it was a hurdle. Just
yeah.
walk around it. It's
It
funny.
was literally like that scene from Blazing Saddles with
Yeah, 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 yeah.
the
I know.
somebody go back at a shitload of dimes. uh,
Yeah. At any rate,
all
I can't remember
right.
how we got into there, but at any rate,
At any rate, you are
Ben,
not
right? Obi-Wan, Ben,
you are
Ben
not
was
my
the character.
mother. We both gave it a 6,
Shix, yes.
and the Innocents we both gave a 9.
We gave it a 9. Pretty cool.
Pretty good. Pretty good stuff.
One might call nice.
Yes. Uh, for episode 25. Oh, wait, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, smash
Please do.
those buttons. I still don't even know where or how you would do anything besides like. I know how to like things.
Hmm.
I've never left a YouTube comment. I don't know how to subscribe. I
Oh,
just
you
th-
don't?
I just thumbs up everything.
Oh, well,
I'm old.
I subscribe. I'm subscribed. You're old. Subscribing is easy. You just hit the little plus thing. It's easy. Everyone should subscribe.
All right.
More content will be coming in the near future. We're gonna have a small little summer break coming up shortly, but
That's right.
we got bigger and better plans coming to the channel. This
Oh
format's
yes.
been fun. I think we're gonna be tweaking some things and doing some new and exciting things as well.
Yeah, so episode 26 will probably be our last episode, I think, before the break.
Probably,
which
yeah.
we're looking at definitely crimes of the future, and
Hmm.
the second film TBD. TBD.
Yeah, there's some options there.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that might be fun for us to do, which I'm just gonna float to you now, is we could sort of do like a year so far, 2022 years
Ooh.
so far. What are the
Since
tops? What are the bottoms?
6
What
months
are
in, yeah, yeah,
whatevers?
sure, sure. That could be one of
Just a quick little summary type
our
video.
first video back. That sounds good.
Could be fun. So we'll see.
All right. Well, for episode 25 of the podcast for the recently deceased, I'm Nate Roberts,
And I'm Ryan Godek. Take care.
and we'll see you next time.